Uh, hey, welcome to the Roof Strategist podcast. Bryce is joining us today with one heck of a story that was inspired by the email that's pulled up with me. I'm not even getting into it. First, I just want to say, Bryce, thank you for being willing to share your story and inspire others, and welcome to the channel.
Thanks for having me, man. Super stoked.
Yeah, the story that you guys are about to hear, let's just jump in. So you sent me a thank you email 13 days ago. I want to turn it over to you. Can you just share the contents of this story that led to this? And then we'll get into some tactical fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So pretty much out of college, I was set up to go straight down an operations management supply chain path. Had a job secured before I graduated college, was already prepared to move to Ohio and begin that job. And then COVID struck. COVID obviously affected the job market like crazy. A lot of places stopped their new hiring. The company that I was going to work for was one of those places. So they kept pushing me back. Then eventually said, we don't have a place for you anymore. So I moved into my parents' guest bedroom as a 22-year-old guy, which was not super fun, but super blessed to be able to do that for sure. And just hit the grindstone of applying to jobs every day. I would wake up, apply to jobs, and then go DoorDash at night to try and pay for the little bills that I had, and then rinse and repeat the next morning. So I applied to 296 different jobs in about a 3-month time period, and I got one phone call returned to me.
From 296.
296 jobs, yeah. So it was interesting.
Gosh. And you said you were door dashing for up to 14 hours a day.
Yeah. So some days, like if I went on the job boards early in the morning, it didn't see anything new or anything that was like super interesting or that I was able to apply for, I would go DoorDash for breakfast, and I'd DoorDash all day long. So sometimes I'd DoorDash from like 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Just, trying to figure out how to get out of my parents' guest bedroom. And also, right before my job got officially canceled, I proposed to my then girlfriend. And so I was having to think of like, okay, I obviously don't want to be living in my parents' guest room when I get married. So trying to plan ahead and get all that stuff taken care of too.
Gotcha. Just since we shared this right before, what was the salary of the job that you had lined up that fell out from underneath you?
Yeah, so I was going to be making $44,000 a year, and for 75 hours a week.
I'm sorry. Did you say 44K for 75 hours?
Yeah. Yep.
That part we didn't touch on. So 44K, 75 hours. This slips away. 296 jobs applied for.
Yep.
Tell me the story. Roofing sales. How'd this happen?
So out of those 296, I finally got a phone call back. It was the company that I work for now, Feasel. The manager, my boss, Mike, gave me a phone call and said, hey, man, I saw your application, saw your resume. I think you might be a good fit. We'd love to have you come in. Went in for the interview, got hired on the spot. And I'm a 1099, so I had to set up some LLC stuff and get all that taken care of. Started 2 weeks later and never looked back from there.
So let's skip ahead just for a second for fun so we can look at this comparison.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable, and I know we talked about this before, if you're not, I totally respect that. The earnings that you're projected to earn from the work you've put in you started, if I have this pulled up, you started in October, which by the way, that was 12 months ago, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So just so we all are aware, the sales to date, what you expect to earn on that.
Yeah. So including all of my sales, like in the first calendar year of doing this, I should be somewhere around like 180,000.
180,000 from 44.
Yep.
While being in the dumps, living in your parents' guest room.
Yeah, exactly.
This transformation is huge. And one thing, I've gotten some pushback on some of these interviews. People say, hey, we don't want to hear, just people succeeding. We want some tactics, and we're going to get there. And tactics come in a variety of ways, from technical execution of some sales things and personal breakthroughs. But the part that is so unique about your position, Bryce, is like you went from job security, which by the way, out of college, most people, I mean, that's right in line with what you'd expect to earn with a college
Yeah,
degree
yeah.
and be owned at a 75-hour work week.
Yeah, I was
And
not stoked about that, but it was
who,
what I had.
who would be? And then coming into this industry on accident after 296 jobs. So this is just the teaser alert for what's coming. 296 job applications led to roofing sales. Serendipity. Things happen on accident, right? So now talk to me a little bit about how you got started. Like you fall into this. You said on here, if I'm going to read just a line or two,
Yeah.
I had zero ideas about sales or the roofing industry at all. You had an amazing boss who taught you tons about roofing and damages and all that. And then you jumped online. Talk a little bit about your journey into it, getting yourself ramped up, and what kind of results you had.
Yeah. Yeah. So my two brothers do roofing sales, which is
Mhm.
also kind of a weird tidbit. So I knew like that they could sell a lot, but I didn't know how, didn't know what really they were doing. So I started off with my boss for a week, rode around with him, got up on like 4 or 5 roofs a day, took a look at what was damaged, what wasn't damaged, difference between hail, wind, different things like that.
Yeah.
And then the second week, my boss actually went on vacation. So I was kind of left alone and just decided to spend all of my days just looking up and researching as much as I possibly could. So I would spend probably from like 6 a.m. until 3 p.m. just researching sales tactics, what specific parts of a roof are so that I could be more knowledgeable, talking to homeowners to just gain that trust with the homeowners. And
Yeah.
then at 3 o'clock, I would go bang doors until it got dark at like 9 o'clock. So I was knocking doors 6 hours a day for the first week and just trying to hit it as hard as I possibly could. And then in that first week, I filed 10 claims on my own.
In a
And
week.
yeah, and was able to just like continue to roll through that. And then fall and winter came pretty quickly in Indiana. So it obviously hits a pause button for us a little bit, but then was able to just kind of pick up where I left off and keep it rolling.
So what's interesting, Bryce, when we look at this, so many people don't hold gratitude for the difficult things in our lives. You had the job security goes away. All of a sudden leads you to this other path. Most people are frustrated when things don't go well. Your boss and manager leaves. You're left on your own. If it weren't for that, you wouldn't have invested the time to do what you needed to do to learn the things you needed to learn in a different light. You have an amazing boss. You said it yourself.
Yeah.
But taking ownership. Then the other thing I want to put for everyone is the structure and how you planned your day. You said, what was it? Was it 6 a.m. to 3 p.m.? Did you
Yeah.
say?
Yep.
So 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. was self-study. And then you said you went out slamming doors from 3 p.m. till what? Dark?
Like 9. Yeah.
Yeah, till 9 at night. Brilliant takeaways here on structuring the time. So you started in October. How much did you sell by Christmas? I'm looking at it, but it's more fun to hear from
By Christmas, I sold roughly 400,000.
October, November. That's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. So we'll get to the other big stuff in a minute, but I want to slide into some of the questions that I had sent you. When you get into roofing sales, beforehand, you had just graduated, obviously you had this job lined up, but
Mhm.
what was your biggest struggle?
The hardest part of roofing sales was just getting over the fear of getting on some roofs for sure. And then also the fear of knocking on somebody's $1 million house who you know when they answer the door is not going to want to talk to you.
Fear of getting on roofs and knocking on doors. How do you overcome those? What helped? Because
Just
there's a lot of people that are going to relate to that one.
Yeah. So the fear of knocking doors was just, I had to hit it with other people. So I had to either go out with my boss, go out with the canvasser, go out with other people that I worked with. And it's super motivating to say, hey, you got this side of the street, I'll take that one. And
Mhm.
then you see them get up on a roof and you're like, oh shoot, I need to, it's like, it's my turn. I need to get after this. I need to get on this roof next. And then just knocking doors more and more and more, to where you don't even think about it anymore. You walk up to the door, you knock on the door, you ring the doorbell, and there's no fear anymore, because you know what they're going to say, you know
Yeah.
how they're going to say it, you know what their objections are going to be, what their reaction is going to be, and you learn super quickly how to read people and know, like, okay, I don't have a chance with this person, so I'm just going to leave. I'm not going to waste my time doing that, and I'll just go to the next one. Another thing was learning to laugh off the people that are rude to you. You're gonna get the door slammed in your face. You're gonna have people yell at you, chase you off their property. You just have to laugh about it. I mean, you're trying to do them a solid. You're trying to get them a new roof that they need. A majority of what we do is insurance work, so you're trying to help them out. You're trying to get them something that they need, and use your knowledge that they don't have to do that. So you're really doing something that's for their betterment. You're not being somebody that they don't want to talk to.
Yeah. I love that. The laughing part, bringing joy to the process. You know, you mentioned something that was really interesting to me when you first said knock with a friend. I immediately thought you meant like, you know, you and me are going to go out. We're going to just like tag team at the door. You can learn. But what you had said is that you're each going to take a side of the street, and one goes this way, one goes this way. So now you've got some camaraderie. You've got accountability for being there, but you also spark a little bit of competition in this sense of security that if someone answers the door, they see, you know, the company on the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
I
definitely.
love that. Was that your idea, or was it one of the ideas of
No,
management team?
that's from my boss. He's been in door-to-door sales for about 20 years. And
Right.
he was just like, yeah, man, there's no better pitch to saying, hey, I'm here with Feasel. My buddy who works for us too is over there inspecting your neighbor's house. Look, you can see him up on their roof.
Yeah.
Like if I took a look at your roof,
Love
because
that.
immediately it makes them feel left out, and it makes them want what their neighbors are getting too.
Mhm. So it's a win for everybody. It makes the homeowners more comfortable because
Mhm.
there's credibility and safety in numbers, as they say,
Yeah.
and it provides that security for you. So I love that. So the biggest struggle was fear, and you said knocking on the doors. And what about the rejection piece? What helped you deal with, you know, knocking on people? You said knocking on $1 million home, and you know that people know, but don't necessarily want you there. What helped you break through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one was mainly by just talking to the people that are at my company that have been doing it for longer than me,
Mhm.
and just having confidence in it. In our industry, there's a lot of Joe Schmo companies that may not be doing things the right way, may not stand
Mhm.
behind their products the correct way, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that can scam very easily in this industry. So we kind of get a bad rep, especially being a door knocker, by doing that. So
Mhm.
just kind of having the confidence in my management team that they're going to stand behind the product that I sell. They're going to stand behind me, and they're going to be there to back me if something happens, and really just being confident in our product and knowing that we provide one of the best products in the market, and that
Mhm.
I'm truly there to provide them a service instead of being a burden to them. And then just talking to my boss, talking to some of the senior salespeople that are in our office, and just, I mean, really, it was just them telling me, like, dude, you're not a burden to these people. They
Yeah.
don't know yet that how useful you can be to them, but they're gonna know when you put a new roof on their neighbor's house for $1,000, which is their insurance
Mhm.
deductible, and
Yeah.
they're gonna know then, oh shoot, I should have listened to that guy when he talked to me.
Yeah. Wow. So it sounds like some pretty significant rewiring of your internal dialogue about what it means. Am I interpreting that accurately? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like before this job, people used to ring the door, and I was like, "Oh, go away. This sucks. I don't want to talk to you." But now it's definitely, yeah, the rewire of
Yeah.
changing the way that I view salespeople in general. I never thought I would be a salesman at all, and
Yeah.
then changing specifically door to door sales, how I view people. I mean, door to door sales, I think, are some of the biggest hustlers that are out there getting it, cold calling hours after hours after hours, sometimes to no avail. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. You know, I had no intention of bringing this up, but it's interesting when you had said that, you know, you're in this industry, you weren't in sales, now you're in sales. you learn to approach the door with this new mindset, rewiring, which is just crazy, man. Every person I interview shares this story about changing their own internal dialogue from I'm a burden and that dang person at the door to I'm here as a servant. I believe in what I'm doing and I'm going to help the right people. And I'm curious if you can relate. I just dropped my pen here. If you can relate, do you think that it is an act of falling in love with this line of work? Because it ain't easy. You have to like try to love it and then have success.
Yeah.
Was that your experience?
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's a huge part of it, is that I'm very extroverted. I love talking to people in general.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me 15 months ago whether I would have loved to walk up to someone's door and knock on it and talk to a stranger, I probably would have said no. But now I definitely I get excited when I knock on the door. I'm like, who is going to be behind that door? Who do I have the chance to talk to today? So I mean, just in like the last month, I've talked to 2 NBA players in Indianapolis just by knocking on their door. And so, I mean, it's super cool. Like the people, you never know who's going to answer the doors. Yeah. You meet some super cool people for sure.
That's awesome. So how do you keep yourself excited? I know some people are going to hear that and be like, I wish I could get myself excited. How has that become part of your daily like ritual or habit?
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of the culture of the business that I work with, Feasel. I mean, they're amazing at keeping everybody in a super tight knit community while also pushing people to be the best at whatever their job is that they can be. Like our production staff is pushed to be the best producers that they can. Our sales managers are pushed to be the best sales managers that we can. And then our salesmen are pushed to sell as much as we possibly can. And it's kind of just this like a friendly rivalry of whether it's meeting sales goals, hitting your numbers for this month, comparing to what other people are doing, or whether it's like we were talking about earlier, the camaraderie of going and knocking doors together. So like me and my team go knock doors, try to do it once or twice a week so that we can be there and push each other. So it's like, okay, if this guy got 3 claims yesterday, we're going to go knock tomorrow and I'm going to get 3 claims and I'm going to show it to him, even though I hope he gets more claims as well. But it's just the rivalry of it, of wanting to be the best that we can, for sure.
I wrote this down because of how much that hit home. You know, what people talk about competition, but it just makes us better. You see one guy get 3, you want to get 3, and you almost want him to beat you so you can go beat him. And that, do you know what I mean? Like that, yeah. That is awesome. I got to tell you, just from talking with you, it sounds like the culture at Feasel is incredible, and we are all a product of our environment. I can already tell. I mean, I don't know you other than today. Your bookcase in the background, everything is in its place, right? It seems that you care about your environment, and we are a product of the environment, our home, our office, our vehicle, our company, the people we surround ourselves with. And not every roofing company is like Feasel, investing and pushing and encouraging people to be their best. And what kind of advice would you give someone to help them surround themselves with the right environment, whether it's physical environment or the relationship environment, to grow?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 2 things. It's looking for people that are similar to you so that you can bond with them, create a friendship with people you work with. Also looking for people who are going to push you. Look for people who are way better at what you want to be good at than you are. My boss is way better at knocking doors than I am. He could sell ice to an Eskimo, and there's no doubt in my mind that he could do that. I don't think I could. So it's finding people that make you want to be as good as they are. So I think it's creating that environment where that friendly rivalry is possible, where they can you can push each other to be the best that you can, and always having your next goal in mind. So whether that's to go knock on 4 doors today and talk to 4 people, or whether that's to go file 100 claims this month, whatever your goal might be, finding that next goal so that you can constantly be pushing to something.
Love that goal chasing. It's those little rewards we need. Do you treat yourself like when you hit those? Do you have any little like things you do for yourself or celebrations or anything?
I do, and my wife doesn't know this, but she's gonna watch the video and find out.
She's gonna know now.
My goal whenever I go knock doors is to file 2 claims. And if I file 2 claims, I buy myself an ice cream cone.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. It's such a small thing too. By the way, my wife and I, we call them screamies. We joke, we look at each other like, want to go out for some screamies today? We love ice cream. Dude, that's such a fun one. And it just goes to show you don't need to do something crazy and grandiose. Like
Yeah.
get yourself and then every lick, you're like, yep.
Yeah, because some days it's like, oh man, I really want to stop knocking doors, but I also really want an ice cream cone. So I'm gonna keep pushing it so I can get my second claim, so I can go get an ice cream cone.
So now that we know that, what's the flavor of choice for the ice cream cone
I'm a
celebration?
McDonald's soft serve guy. Plain and
Soft serve.
simple.
Look at that. Everyone's got to think. My wife's a vanilla person too. I'm like, give me the richest flavors you can. I want like the peanut butter or the fudge.
Yeah. I just can't do that sweet.
I know that's what she says too. So, dude, that's awesome. So, if you were to look back from like and then I do want to hit some of the stuff that you have in the pipeline, which is really exciting. But how do you feel that roofing sales has changed your life beyond the professional side?
I mean, just the money alone is way different. My wife and I both drive brand new cars that would have never been in the books had I ended up in operations.
Sure.
And then just the outlook, it's able to pay off student loans immediately in the first year. Just kind of setting our life up to be in the best point that we can be. We're only 22 years old. So with an income like this, just being able to kind of set up the future for our family when that happens, to kind of be able to do whatever we want to do at that point, is just, the opportunity is insane.
Insane is an understatement. 22, dude, you have a jump. I'm so happy for you. You and your wife, the jump start on life and the outlook, as you mentioned. You have the two things, like the opportunities financially that come with earning this type of income, paired with the mindset, the confidence, the skill set development is just massive. What advice would you give for someone who's brand new, who's fallen into the business?
You just got to keep hitting it. There's always more doors to knock. There's always more emails to send. There's always more people to talk to. Don't be afraid to knock on the door. Try to get as excited as you can. Find the people you're working with that can keep pushing you forward, pushing you to hit a door, pushing you to talk to this person. Just keep banging out the doors, man. The more you knock on doors, the more you will sell. It's a proven thing. If you don't knock on doors, you won't sell. So keep knocking the doors.
I love that. That's awesome. So now let's get into some fun stuff before we wrap up. Okay. I'm scrolling up in the email you sent me here. You're averaging about 150,000 in sales per month, which is phenomenal. But you had another serendipitous relationship that led to some big things. You share about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I was knocking doors, had one claim filed, was just about to wrap up for the night. Didn't think I had enough daylight to do anymore. Said, okay, I'm just going to hit this one. It was the last house in a cul-de-sac. Then I was going to come back the next day. Knocked on the door, talked to the homeowner. He let me up on his roof to take a look. Smashed with hail damage, completely totaled. We've gotten it approved already. I'm actually signing his contract tomorrow. So knocked on his door, showed him all the damages, filed the claim with him on the spot. And then he looks at me and he goes, do you guys roof churches too? I was like, oh, well, if it's shingled, yeah, we can roof it. Why? Do you own a church? He ends up being the senior pastor over a church group that has 5 churches in the Indianapolis area. And they had an active leak at one of the churches, got denied by their insurance company for the leak. So I went and took a look at the roof, and it is smashed with hail damage and has wind damage to the ridge cap, totally missing ridge cap, just blown off into the backyard. So that one is about 400 squares roughly. And then the total of the 4 other churches is about another 4,000 squares. So there's roughly 4,400 squares total in shingles of all the roofs. One of them's outside of the storm, so that one doesn't have any damage, but the others have damage, and we'll start working on those ones soon.
And if the other ones get hit, who's the first call?
Exactly. Yep. That's
Bryce. Bryce will be the first call. Man, that is, I just want to say I'm really happy for you. And the biggest lessons that I'd love to recap for folks before I turn it back to you is you never know what opportunity stands behind the door unless you knock. You met a pastor that led to the churches. You faced adversity when the job was pulled out from under you. And I can imagine you weren't thinking, oh, I'm so grateful that my job disappeared and I'm door dashing 14 hours a day living with my mom and dad. And then it led to finding this career that changed your life, to, your boss leaving temporarily and allowing you to jump in and, stumble into your own sales strategies and things that you learned on your own, structuring your schedule. I mean, it's so difficult when we're in the thick of things to be like, at the bottom of this darkness, there's a light. I just have to find it. And when you do, you end up with 4,300 square church opportunities. Awesome, man. Hey, let me see if there's anything else in here that I should have touched on. And yeah, is there anything that I didn't touch on that you wanted to share before we wrap up?
I don't really think so. I would say just keep hitting the doors. I mean, the key to success in this industry is talking to the most customers that you can. The more people you talk to, the more comfortable you'll get, the less fear you'll have, the better at it you'll get, and the more opportunities you got.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I'm so glad to have you here. And I love that you put in here that you watched every single video of mine within a week, which must have taken some time.
That first week, man, I would do, I'd get home, get in bed, and roof strategist it was.
That's great. That is awesome. 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 So I want to close on this. This one is something I want to do new, because a lot of the folks, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're one of them at some point, start in sales. They start selling 1, 2, 3 years later, they're leading a team. They're growing. We have owners and managers tuning in. What advice would you give to an owner or sales manager? And it could even be an affirmation. You said you have an amazing boss, but if you knew that there are other people that say, hey, I respect this guy, Bryce is killing it, he's got great culture and a great leader, what advice would you give to a sales manager or to an owner that says, this would be really helpful to help your people succeed?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my biggest piece of advice is what my boss gave me when I started to lead a little team, is that you need to be there no matter what. Always answer your phone when the people are contacting you. And then also just setting up that environment for success. So giving them all of the tools that they need to succeed, whether that be going over trainings, teaching them about what damage is, giving them different pitch opportunities, setting up that culture, and the competitive culture for us was super successful. So just getting that environment and that company culture, or your team culture inside of the company, to where you set up everybody in their best possible way to succeed. And whether that's to succeed by selling $2 million a year, or whether that for them is to succeed by selling $350,000 a year, just getting everybody to where they want to be, and understanding that everyone might not have the same goals, but everyone's goals are just as important as everyone else's.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Bryce, thank you for being here and sharing your story. And I hope everyone listening or watching had an opportunity to grab a little golden nugget to keep them fired up and fueled up, pushing through the tough times, because you're a testament to it. So I just want to say congratulations for everything you've accomplished. You deserve it. And I'm super happy for you. And thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, man. Wouldn't be possible without you.
Well, you were the one that put in the work, man. Thank you so much.
Yep.